Hey Pat, so here's your awesome flute. Um, let's see, I'm just gonna grab the last bit of daylight here to show you everything. Um, here's the finger holes right here, and it's just your bottom three, which would be your ring finger on your right hand would be the bottommost hole, and then middle, then pointer. And then these two right here, they're nice and close together. Just probably middle finger and pointer finger should do the trick. Um, that's generally the way to hold it. Um, and it's got a really cool kind of like sliced angular end at the bottom here. This is a tone hole. I had a tone hole in the back earlier, but it raised its pitch a little bit too high, so I had to fill it. So that's just a little malachite sphere in there. So you've got some, a nice, good grounding stone on the piece. All of the bamboo coloration is all blowtorch work. I just did that with my blowtorch. It kind of heat cures the bamboo, makes it a little stronger. Kind of the same principle as like blacksmithing and stuff. So you've got your Vishuddha throat chakra glyph. There's a couple others that were out there, but this is the one that the flute and I were agreeing upon for this piece. And right here is this is a pine burl. You'll be able to see relatively well in the pictures, but it's got some really nice grain and a very soft, like semi matte like sheen. Really, really pretty. This is from Oregon, as is this bamboo. And a nice elk antler mouthpiece. It's pitched on a really cool little angle there, so it just fits perfectly into your mouth, and just blow into the small hole, create a seal so that no air is leaking out. So this is the piece, and then you got these gray bindings here towards the middle and these black bindings on the outside. Be mindful of the antler mouthpiece. It's glued on there really well, and the black waxed cord is kind of sealed over the glue mark, but just be mindful of this area. Yeah, the block, there's kind of like a little shelf behind the block that if this thing ever shifts this way, like you can just push it back really easy. It's just in one set position. You'll notice that this one has this is what many call the chimney block style method for a fipple area in the flutes. And these little, basically, like if you see there's like this kind of this rectangular slash or U-shaped slash cut out there, that is really good for getting good pressure through the instrument, but also blocking the wind if you end up playing this thing outside. So it'll help more so than if it wasn't there. I've been mixing and matching my styles up, and I've been using the chimney block style a little bit more often. So you got some cool local stuff on here, and the bindings, and some really nice, this is like some nice turquoise suede, but it wasn't made from deer. I think this is pig suede. So that's really nice. And yeah, let's see. I mean, it's just really kind of a slender, skinny flute. Not a lot of weight to it, but it's got good density. I had to ream it a whole boatload of times to open up the bore a little bit more, because it was like a little sharp of G, and so I widened it on the inside, and that flattened the pitch, and it dropped it down to perfectly on the green mark for G. You might notice, depending on your breath pressure and your, you're bigger than I am. So what I would say is, like a softer breath pressure at first is going to give you a more accurate tone with the instrument, and then as you get used to how much air you actually can put into it before like some of the notes either break or get squealy, you'll find that out. But generally it's a soft to moderate breath pressure. The flute is of like moderate volume. It's not like an ultra loud flute, which some of them, they just happen to get really, really loud. Some of them are really quiet, depending on if there's too much density to the wood or the material you're using. So it's moderate volume. Great for inside or outside. The sound will carry, but it's more of like you can use this in a lot of settings. I guess in a small sort of unplugged acoustic setting. You could easily use it in the studio. And you could have other instrumentation with it. So a good G major, a good G major pentatonic, and this is what it sounds like without effects. Got some extra notes in there. They're all achievable by overblowing and like pretty much just kind of messing around and opening certain holes and closing other ones. But the main scale climb is if 0 is resting position. Okay, so resting position is all holes closed. This is 0. Then you go 1. Oh, hold on, I'll get my pinky out of the way. You go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the top hole is number 5. Bottom hole is number 1. Super self-explanatory. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Through that's generally some tricks about the piece, and then this is a really quick. Actually, the video on Instagram has it with the reverb and delay, so you can go back to it and listen to that one if you want. But generally, that's the main thing. The finger spacings are nice and close together for it being like your first flute. This is a really, really kind of comfortable and I would think very ergonomic fit. You probably don't have hands that are much bigger than mine, but I was working within paradigms that of our bodies are just probably slightly different. So you have an easy reach because you play guitar, and other string instruments. Your dexterity is probably quite nimble enough for holding this. You can either brace the instrument here with your pinky, brace it underneath. So yeah, that's the main rundown on this guy. I could send it out in a few days, and yeah, it was a real pleasure making this for you. I hope you like it, and it does what you need it for. So thank you so much once again. It was a real treat. Love you, buddy. Hope everything's great in Westchester.